All right, folks. Thanks for joining us again on Family Through Service, Veterans to Veterans Group podcast.
Thanks for starting this while I have a face full of chips.
Yep, and you're about to take a drink.
Mm-hmm.
Don't
worry, it's legal. A legal drink.
It's a legal drink. Well, depends where you're at. Is there too much sugar in there? We're in Vermont, so it's allowed.
At least the container is legal. What's in it is questionable.
So, we just came from our clients, our appointment with our client here.
I'll tell you,
and we, it was a good experience.
It really is. People, I know you have someone that you know that has this theory that people do things for selfish reasons and the consequences end up making them feel good.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, driving an hour and a half out of our way.
Each way.
Yeah. While we do have other crisis situations happening.
Yeah.
To me is not a selfish reason to do what we did, but
driving an hour and a half each way doesn't not make either one of us feel good. Now, the goal was good.
It was, and so the whole premise was for us to be there as physical reinforcements for one of our clients who had one of his feet partially amputated.
Yeah.
So worst case scenario is if he slipped, we were there to help while he went up these few stairs. Even though we've already taken this time and dedicated the gas money and all these things, I'm happy that it went into the best case scenario where he didn't need our help.
Yeah.
He was able to get up the stairs.
Despite the stairs being a little bit icy.
But I'll tell you, we get into his house, his apartment, and you kind of go off with his sister, who is a huge advocate, which is great to see.
Yep.
Because he doesn't have like children that live with him or a significant other.
Right.
He's got a sister.
Yeah, she was there to help too.
So you and her went and you guys did your conversations, and I was talking to him, and one of the things he kept bringing up, which is so huge to me, it means so much because it was a small act of our organization of what we did was.
Well, what we thought was, and kind of is.
Right, monetarily, it was like $28 or something.
Yeah.
But what led up to us doing it and why it made such a difference was he had part of his foot amputated.
Yep.
He's had his mom passed away.
Yeah.
And then on top of it, he bought himself pizza for his birthday at this physical rehab place.
Yeah.
And it was stolen. And
I think he had
the holidays were all crappy, and so we, as an organization, with the holidays being a special time for us, and we have a special program, we bought him like a couple pizzas and like breadsticks or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And we had it sent to him without
just a little pick me up.
Yeah, without his knowledge, and it affected him so much that in November and December timeframe that he's still talking about it as if it was yesterday, and he's got this huge fucking smile on his face. Like he's sitting there eating it still, And for me, that is the thank you. That is what the reward is for us to do what we do.
So many times, it's the little things that matter the most when you're down and out.
Absolutely.
And with all those things stacked up against this man, getting that little meal that we sent, as a secondary part of our holiday program, food program, it was such a pick me up for him. It brought him out of his depression that he was in. That's awesome. That's really awesome. So I'm glad that our board and our organization decided that, he's deserving of getting a little pick-me-up right now. And he didn't know it was coming.
Which was special. And I have to give a lot of the credit to Simone Cote, who is his Hadash program.
Yes.
And she knew that there was nothing she could do as a worker. She could personally try and do something, but could also get in trouble but she knew that we do some things that are quote unquote off the books. Some things that a lot of organizations just won't do for many reasons.
Well, a lot of organizations would consider it too minor of a thing to do.
But
they won't waste their time with it, as they would say.
And she reached out to us. She told us the story, and
yeah, she said, "Is this something you think you could do? Just help them out." And we said, "Yeah, we'll try."
We'll bring it to the board, and that's that's almost always going to be the answer. Unless it's research, then it's almost always going to be yes.
Yeah,
we will work on it.
We do the research, yeah. And the board said, "Yeah, we'll do it." And it is such an impact on this client of ours that, like you said, he was still talking about it, and his sister was talking about how much it helped him mentally and emotionally at the time, in light of all those things that happened, i.e., his mom passing away and during the holiday season and all this stuff. So it's definitely a worthwhile endeavor for us to have done.
Yeah, and we found out later, like when we were there, that if we hadn't come, that there was no backup plan for him. He would not have been let out of the rehab hospital.
He didn't explain that to us in that way.
Which I don't think he needed to, because we had already agreed to do it.
Right.
But then on top of it, we would have found out if he would have stayed there another 20 days, he would have been kicked out of the DASH program that he's in.
Yeah.
Because absentee of being in his household. And so this would have had such a very negative domino effect.
It would have cascaded into just a pile of shit. And you would have had no home to go to.
But, you had an interesting situation where his sister was talking to you and trying to offer a token of gratitude, as you were.
Yeah, she tried to offer money. She was saying, can take this, for gas and for food. And I laughed and I said, no, thank you. We're a charity. It's in our budget, and we're ethically, we can't take it. We don't want to take it. But I did say that I appreciate the offer, because a lot of clients, they don't offer that. And, these clients aren't in a position to really be offering money, especially with him just coming out of the hospital. They have a lot of things they need to pay for his orthopedic equipment. And so I did appreciate her trying to offer me money. I declined it. And then simultaneously, the client was saying that they were going to offer money to us, to you.
Yeah, and and again, so we had to explain that ethically and through our bylaws, which we created. We are the first generation of V2VG.
Yeah, we're a standalone
we created these policies for what we believe in, and that it's not to be making money.
Yeah, not only ethically, legally, by our own laws, we can't take it. So we don't want to, and we can't.
But of course, in order to kind of get them to drop it, I do this thing where I say, well, if you really want to, you can send us a donation and with a card or something, and that gives them time to change their mind if they have other things to purchase. But if we're able to just receive a card from them, that is what's special to us, because then we can post it on Facebook and we can post it on our website, and we
thank
can
you
talk
card is
about
the biggest thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it'll give them more time to think about their financial situation, which is important. As you and I both know, neither one of us are the Rockefellers or or anybody like that. So sometimes the good intentions are great, but it shouldn't come at a cost to your own everyday livelihood. Of course. You shouldn't be giving $40 to an organization helping you if you can't buy food for yourself or
gas,
or those type of things. So.
And now that money can go to restock his pantry, because he's been in the hospital for over 100 days.
I'd rather him spend that $40 at fucking McDonald's, because he has been in the hospital.
Get some good
so
food
long,
finally, right?
Like have a cheat day, right? As they say. But overall, just amazing day to do what we did, despite how initially we were like, oh man, I don't want to take this drive and all. But all in all, it was great. It was great to see him, his sister, in great spirits, showing much appreciation to us, verbally and physically. You just read from their body language how happy they were.
He was all smiles, and she was all smiles, and she actually made a comment as I was on my way out. And it didn't register with me until I'd already shut the door and I was walking to the car. She said, she said it's really great to know that there are still people like you in the world. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, there's still people like you guys out there in the world. And I was 2 steps away after I shut the door, and it made me grin. I was like, yeah, there are people like us in our organization out there. Where they are, you got to find them. But people like us are out there, and our motto, family through service, it means something to us.
It most certainly does.
Because like I was saying to you off camera, off mic, if it was me, if I was in this client's position, and I didn't know who to turn to, I would be desperate to find somebody like us or an organization like ours that would be willing to drive a total of 3 some odd hours just to help me up a few steps in the middle of winter, just in case I fell.
Yeah, and we talked about it as family through service in the aspect of us being friends. And if I lived an hour and a half, 2 hours away, and you were in this situation, you would not hesitate, nor would your wife hesitate to call me to help, because we're not small people,
no.
And neither is his client.
Right.
But his sister and your wife are petite, small frame people who would not have a chance to catch us, let alone pick us up from the ground.
Yeah, and his sister would have had to call 911.
Yeah, that would have been the most she could have done.
Where he was at, not only is it way below freezing, it was windy, it was blustery there.
Yeah, and it's on a main road, so that is going to be difficult for dealing with EMTs and all those. So yeah. A lot of very bad things could have happened if we decided to be like, no, for whatever reason.
It's too far, it's not important enough, it's only a couple stairs, figure it out, like a lot of other organizations might have done for a variety of reasons.
And granted, we did look at the situation for what it was. We did, if it was a spring day that was 60 or 70 degrees out and it was all sunny and things like that, then we would probably be tossing the idea of not going around a little bit more than with it being winter, knowing there's ice everywhere. And
it's the totality of the situation. He had his foot amputated. He's a bigger gentleman. His sister was there. She couldn't really do much. Versus, I need a ride to an appointment, or I need my car repaired. Those aren't necessities. This was a necessity. He needed to get into his home. He had no other option.
You know what's
and what we didn't know is that if we didn't go, he wouldn't have been able to be discharged.
And that would have went downhill. And what was interesting is he reached out to us, and when he did, he kept saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, this is last minute," and I'm sorry. But it was like roughly 10 days, which to us is not last minute. That is a good amount of time for us to plan around our families and around what we have going on
for us.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it was, but it's funny that he was already seeing that and looking at it in that situation that, these people have lives. They have other clients and things, and he felt bad for even coming to us, but knew what needed to be done and knew the best chance for this lied within us.
Yeah. And in half a mile. To the left. So he was very conscientious of the fact that in many organizations' playbooks it was last minute and perhaps hours, and that he knew that it was a long distance, and he knew that for all intents and purposes it was a long shot, but he didn't know who else to turn to.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that when he did turn to us, we were able to pick the case and not drop the ball.
Well, they knew the distance because they had actually driven to our house because we found some clothes that would fit him, and we also he was one of our Thanksgiving and Christmas Day participants, not this past season but the season before, so they were already aware. So it's not like they were just like, "Oh, screw it, who cares." They knew the distance was, they knew it was a lot to ask. And it's great that they could get past their own pride to ask.
Right. I forgot about that. They had come to us before for other minor assistance a while back.
And we were talking about it just before we started this, too, about how, yes, even at our age, even with our disabilities and our issues mentally and everything, we want to feel indestructible like we did after boot camp. But the fact is, we're not.
No.
And sometimes it is difficult to get past that. I'm glad he was able to.
You're right. You're right. And he knows it, and his sister knows it, and we know it. And I'm glad that he was honest enough with himself to say, you know what, this is a dangerous situation. I might need help. It might go sideways for me. And I need you there to basically, you know, cover my ass in case something goes sideways.
Well,
and we were.
What is it? We always try and be a helping hand, not a handout, right? I mean,
yeah, well, we were helping.
And I really think with the physical things he showed in their body language, the offer of compensation for monetary, but also just the words and how sincere they were, all showed a true gratitude.
Yes.
And that makes it all worth it while in the end.
Absolutely. He was very appreciative. His sister was very appreciative. And, you know, it does make it worth it. And now, I don't know about any ulterior motives other than just helping the client out, you know, simply and specifically because he needed it. But it did make me feel good. There's no question about that.
Well, but in addition, as well, when it was a good thing we showed up, because when we got there, he kept saying, "Oh, well, I have somebody who's going to be coming in, tell me what kind of stuff I need to install or whatever."
Right.
But there were things that you and I noticed immediately. One, because of your recovery many years ago.
Yeah.
There were no handrails, and for his shower, there's a step up. And coming from the toilet, which is a little low.
Yeah.
So,
and we might have a couple of those things we need to check.
Yeah,
and I told his sister, I took her number down that Jen and I are going to check, and we need to make sure we have these things, but we'll work it all out. And then you came up with the idea that, you know, for his steps outside, which are granite steps.
Yeah, it's just that stone.
It's just stone, a sharp stone, that to consider having them install a mat to give some traction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because he was so very nonchalant about it. Oh, well, I have people. I was like, no, you don't understand. Yeah. So finally I talked to his sister, and I was like, listen, you need to tell them they need to do at least these two.
Yeah.
And, like, they can't be this what if or possibly. Like, these two will cause any major issues from happening in the two most dangerous places in the house.
He absolutely needs shower bars and things like that.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that we are there for. Advocates for the advocate.
Right. So.
All right. I think we're going to stop and get lunch.
Yes. So until next time, we'll get back on the amendments, hopefully.
Let's see what happens.